everyone to the Blue Mountains International Hotel Management School's 30th anniversary special webinar event, the Global Perspective Series. Over 5 weeks, we will be in conversation with senior hoteliers from different countries discussing how their destinations and hotels are preparing for post-COVID operations. My name is Vanessa Falzon and I am one of the industry consultants for the school. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land of which I am talking to you from today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of this place we now call Sydney. I would also like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. There is much excitement as destinations around the world emerge from the health pandemic. Hotels are focused on rebuilding and reskilling their workforce while considering how innovations successfully introduced over the last 18 months may become part of post-COVID operations. Over these next few weeks, we want to talk to people who have successfully navigated their hotels through the last 2 years and are now ready to embrace a resurgence in tourism and hospitality. We'll hear firsthand why a career in hotel management is now more important and more rewarding than it's ever been. Before we get started and introducing our wonderful guest today, just a bit of housekeeping. We encourage you to ask as many questions as possible, and we ask that you please pop these into the Q&A box throughout the session, and we'll address them in the dedicated time at the end. And without further ado, our first guest today is another one of our brilliant Blue Mountains alumni who discovered her passion for hospitality at the Blue Mountains International Hotel Management School and has now gone on to have an exciting career spanning 20 years. In her current role, she leads a team of experts overseeing short-term and long-term business development and growth strategies. She brings with her a wealth of insights into regions across Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. Miss Sophie Mougel, firstly, welcome back. And secondly, thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Vanessa. I'm very excited to be able to give back, a tiny little bit to what I've learned over the 3 years that I was in the mountains. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know when I say spanning over 20 years, I don't want to add age onto you. You look absolutely stunning. It's just, so much in that time. So let's kick off our little chat today with our Red Libby, of course. First off, let's touch on a quick day in the life of what you do, Sophie, because I know there are so many people that are really interested in what does this amazing woman do, and what do you love about it, and how does it tie into the industry that you love so much?
Sure, and actually, if anyone actually understand what I do, post answering my question, can they please circle back so I actually understand it myself. Sometimes I'm a bit confused. But I guess to start at the beginning, I've had an absolute magnetic attraction to with the industry from as far back as I can remember, and I've never deviated. Right, so I started at a hotel school and stayed with the industry ever since. And I guess what I really love most about the industry is, besides the actual traveling, which obviously has been on pause over the last little while, is the breadth and depth of options within it. So you can pretty much do anything you want and still be part of the industry, right? Whether your interests lie, like myself, more in finance and research, or HR, or marketing, or technology with all the disrupting platforms, that have come up over the while, and or obviously, operations, because ultimately we are still a human industry and touching people. So it really is varied, and that's what makes it tremendously exciting. And the same really applies about my role. And when I was listening to you asking about a day in the life, I was thinking there's actually no such thing as a day in the life, right? And while it probably might feel unsettling at times, it actually keeps me on my toes. But obviously, having said that, just aside, there's sort of 3 pillars that my team is responsible for. And broadly speaking, those are anything to do really to help the development and growth organization achieve its business objective. Right, the IHG long-term ambition is to be industry leading net system size growth, and we really are, sort of the front part of that. So my team basically looks after development marketing, so anything that has to do with pitches, owner engagement, really bespoke owner advocacy. We do that. Another pillar would be around planning, budgeting, so really setting the direction of what do we want to achieve, whether short term, medium term, longer term, and setting up the pathways to enable the team to do that. And last but certainly not least, has anything to do with around strategic capabilities. So anything, what do we want to achieve in Africa? What do we want to achieve in Japan? So very much varied, and certainly never a dull moment, that's for sure.
Wow. So essentially, for those of you that are listening and watching this recording, there isn't something that Sophie doesn't do. So to answer, so long story short, that sounds fantastic. Very exciting, very rewarding by the sounds of it as well. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. So now let's talk about Southeast Asia and Korea and the COVID disruption there. A little bit of a hot topic. I don't know if anyone has heard of COVID, but we're currently in it. No. So for those of you who know this region well, they'll know that it is large, it is diverse, and it is absolutely pumping with life. What makes Southeast Asia so interesting yet challenging is that it consists of 11 countries, all with their own unique culture, religion, languages, and environments. No small feat. And then you can add in Korea too. This equals only one of Sophie's regions in her remit. And since Sophie has been in Singapore for the last decade, we've decided to focus on this region today. Sophie also sits on the leadership team of the IHG Hotels and Resorts, that Southeast Asia and Korea team, where she plays a major Chief of Staff role. So turning to the slide on our screens here, Sophie will understand our choice of photo. It was too hard to showcase all of the beautiful hotels and resorts in this vast and diverse region. So we picked one of the newest assets due to open in Q1 2022, the Regent Phu Quoc. Apart from me dreaming about this destination, it's much better than my apartment right now. This is also a great example of how strong the industry remains. Hotels are continuing to open, regardless of the difficult economic and health climate pressing against it at the moment. And we've just got some graphs here, Sophie, just to kind of lead us into this topic. And for those of you listening and watching this recording, these have been taken from a recent STR webinar. And the first one shows how many markets have reopened. While some countries like Vietnam and Thailand have mostly remained closed, there are others in the region that Sophie looks after, like Singapore, South Korea, and Indonesia, that have fared relatively well during the pandemic. Of course, it's not all doom and gloom, and it is important to remember that a lot of these countries rely heavily on international tourism. And there are some great signs of recovery that, Sophie and I, we were talking about, last week when we caught up. We need to focus on those, like the Phuket Sandbox Initiative, Singapore staycations for locals, and most recently, which is my favorite announcement that you shared on LinkedIn, is Singapore has added more countries to the vaccinated travel lane, the VTL, which is such an exciting term. So there's over 10 countries whereby travelers can enter in and out freely. So that's great. And another, of course, South Korea, which is not part of Southeast Asia, but again, a key area for IHG, shows that, it has slowly started to pick back up. Occupancy rates can be associated to weekend stays in non-quarantine hotels, and consumer confidence is definitely starting to rise. And of course, they're part of Singapore's VTL, vaccinated travel lane. So in light of this, Sophie, could you give us a bit of an update on the market in your eyes? Because it's definitely, you're definitely more aware of it than I am sitting here in Sydney. What do you see is currently happening in SEAK with IHG?
Yes, certainly. And first of all, I guess going back to that amazing picture of the upcoming region in Fukuoka, we will really, would like to thank our partners for choosing us, right? And this asset is a perfect example, because the owner of that property is actually also owns other assets of ours that are branded under IHT portfolio in Vietnam and in Laos. So that is really how we like to work, is developing partnerships. So that's one key example of that. But going back to your question, how is SCAK? My goodness, it is moving, right? It is moving so rapidly. And let's face it, the last 18, 20 months have been challenging and testing, to say the least. It, as you kindly said in the intro, I've been around the block for a little while, right? I still remember the 2000, the 9/11 and the SARS and the GFCs and all of that, but that certainly has shaken the industry in ways that no one could ever think of. But and it is still challenging, right? It is still challenging in parts. However, there is hope on the horizon, and very much that hope is tied to the whole vaccination and how fast vaccination is happening in countries. And so you can see governments are trying to do all they can to open up their borders. So I think the way that Thailand was first to open up with the Phuket sandbox, I mean, now in a way, it feels kind of natural, and because there's more and more destinations that are wanting to do that. But we have to really praise the government for taking a chance. I mean, when they started, they didn't know what would come of it, and it turned out, really, really well. So, I think for us, while the period has been challenging, we've always made sure that we deliver memorable guest experience in a safe way. So that's always been the focus of all of our hotels, and I can only applaud the creativity of the teams within it, because they've been able to really build miracles with very little, right? And obviously we've been dependent, especially in places like Singapore, but elsewhere across the region, on quarantine business and government regulations, and we're very thankful for that. Staycations obviously has been a key, and the rise of domestic tourism, right? So it's very clear that when people can travel, they will jump at the first opportunity to get in that car, jump on that flight, whatever it is. And my very informal poll over the last few days since the VTRs have been open, I think all the travel websites have crashed under the weight of people just literally going, I want to go anyway, just let me go, right? So I guess, in a way, we think that the future is bright. Our growth ambitions that were set earlier in the year very much apply. But what I'm particularly proud of the way how IHT's handled the last 18 months is really trying to think about the long term, right? Think about the trend line and not the headlines, because there will be in life, ups and downs and cycles and whatever. However, the future of the industry is sound, but it is changing. And one of the things that we have put in place was Journey to Tomorrow, which is really something about the future of travel, right? And giving back, right? We know that tourism drive changes to the community in which it operates. So it's all about the people, the communities, and reducing our impact on those, right? So whether it's through reducing carbon, reducing waste, reducing water. So I think we're all set. We've done as much preparation as we can, and especially over in SCAK, given we've been in a way lagging, other parts of the world, like the Americas and China. So that's also given us a chance to understand what worked, what didn't work, and we are raring to go. So bring on to 2022, I say.
Oh yes, bring it on. Yeah, IHG has done some fantastic work. Getting you guys ready, getting the hotels and the teams ready, and yeah, definitely. People have always wanted to feel safe in hotels. We know that. I mean, you wouldn't go somewhere where you don't feel safe, unless that's what you're after, of course. So no, I really applaud the company for doing so much fantastic work in that area. Sophie, we're going to talk a little bit about you now. I'm going to take the spotlight off IHG, and we're going to focus on your own key learnings over the past 18 to 20 months, and if you find that they've changed or altered your leadership style, if any.
Yeah, so what comes to mind when I think about the last 18, 20 months is resilience, adaptability, being okay with uncertainty. I mean, and that has taken, the pandemic certainly has taken that to the nth degree. But I guess reflecting back, there's one thing I can attest is, do you remember those, once upon a time when you used to travel and those little in-flight videos would come up and say, please make sure that you put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. Well, funnily enough, they're true, they're correct. And what I mean by that is, I guess as a mother and a team leader, you can't give what you don't have, right? And I think especially over the last 20 months, which have really felt like just an absolute sprint marathon, right? I mean, it's like running 42 Ks each and every day. You need to be able to carve special moments to replenish, to rejuvenate, to be able to then give, more. And quite frankly, it goes a little bit against the core of who I am. So I have to, and it's very much easier said than done. And I'm sure that a lot of people probably listening to us will attest to that. But it is very important and something that I try. And as I say, it's hard. Try and do, because we all need to find ways to resource to be able to then give back. So I guess that's my key learning. But as I said, I'm still on a journey on here.
Thank you for being so, I don't know if vulnerable is the right word, but it's pretty big to be able to share something like that. And yeah, it's hard, but I'm sure that has trickled down into your team. And for those of you that don't know, I actually had the pleasure of working with Sophie, so I know her team really do appreciate your style and your leadership style and your way of thinking. So let's come back to the feeling that I'm getting about SEAK and really just all regions in general, especially where IHG are touching. So I'm getting a very optimistic vibe, and I hope that transcends into our audience. But I know recently that IHG has signed a strategic partnership with APSN. So for those of you that are not sure what that stands for, it's the Association of Persons with Special Needs. And that's across all IHG properties in Singapore to create more diverse job and training opportunities, which is just absolutely fantastic. Can you tell us some of the companies, or even your personal strategic goals for the close future, or for the even 5 to 10 years time, and what particular enthusiasm is there in the market? I know you touched on it before.
Sure, certainly, and I think going back to the partnership with APSN, we've done some work with them in the past, and really privileged to be partnering with a body like theirs. I guess just as a company, D&I, diversity and inclusion is really, really big on the agenda, but it is more than just a tagline. It is something that will live, day in, day out. And September is actually a month giving back and giving thanks. And there was, there's always a whole raft of opportunities to do that, even though obviously a bit more virtual these days than face to face that we would like. But nevertheless, the intention is there. We are a very human capital intensive industry, and we can never ever forget about that. Well, I think certainly some things have changed with the pandemic. The onset of technology and all that. Ultimately, we all crave human interactions, right? And that's why, in a way, we all want to go and travel, because we want to go and see family, we want to go and see friends, we want to go back and discover those places, and the industry really enables us to do that. And so people are at the core of it, and we also we understand that students have choices, right? So people can choose our industry, but they can also choose a whole raft of other industry. And I think this is where it's really important for company to take put a stake in the ground and say, this is what we stand for. And IHD very much does that with all of the DE&I initiatives. And on another initiative that actually we launched fairly recently across SCAK, and I'm very pleased to be involved, is we've partnered with Google on the hashtag I Am Remarkable. And actually yesterday I was facilitating a session with some of my colleagues, and it's really, really powerful to be able to do that and to be part of a company that enables us to really live out those dreams. So yes, I am positive about the industry. I do believe in the fundamentals of it, and I do believe that ultimately it all comes down to people and the interactions we have.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So it was hashtag
I am remarkable. Yes, check it out. It's well worth it. It's well worth it. It's an eye opener. And talking about being vulnerable. I mean, during the workshop, it's really all about empowering and self promotion, and being okay with self promote, which doesn't have to be a negative. It's all about being comfortable in your achievement and celebrating your achievements and celebrating others' achievements. And there doesn't have to be it's either either or. It can be very inclusive. So strongly recommend it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it's nice. I mean, we all know, and for those of you that are working in hospitality on this webinar today, it's such a small industry, so we have to build ourselves up and build each other up. It's just how we're going to get through what we're experiencing. I'm going to turn the focus to our students now, who are our most important stakeholders in everything we do, and that's why we're here today, is to help them learn and grow as industry professionals. So we've currently got over 250 students currently studying with us back home across that Southeast Asia and Korea region that we're talking about today. Sophie, as someone that's experienced an industry placement yourself, and experienced studying at a hotel school, what would you say to those students right now who are working or completing their industry placement back home? Is it the right decision?
Oh, absolutely. And I guess for various reasons. First of all, I mean, we all understand that it is kind of impossible to be traveling, right? So but at the same time, it is really important to keep building your skills, keep building your knowledge, and keep building your network, right? Back to the people. So when I see someone who has been willing to give it a try, to maybe not do exactly what they were expecting, what that career aspiration, where they were like, oh, my first job will be this, or my first job will be that. Well, it is life, right? Things happen, and you just have to make the most of opportunities. And because what it tells me as a hiring manager is, well, someone's been willing to do something that maybe they didn't quite want to do, or not exactly 100% were planning for, but they've given it a go. And that is absolutely fundamental to building the rest of your career. And I will also say that one of the things that at the moment we're discussing a lot with owners is all about actually nurturing local talent. And while it is very important, and this industry enables you to really travel the world, being able to go back to your own community, build upon that, and have an insider knowledge of what it is like is highly valuable, and it will only build, it will only become even more so going forward. So yes, take the first step, right? Take the first step. You just don't know what the future is going to be like. So grab the opportunity and dare to dream.
So inspiring. Maybe you should come back and be a lecturer. Sorry, IHG. But no, that's fantastic. And we, my colleague and I, Gareth, and he's been doing some fantastic work, before I joined with the school. We've really been engaging with our students to encourage them to stay home. At the moment, that's all they can really do. For those of them that are back home. So yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. So one last question in our Q&A today, Sophie, in our chat, and then we'll move on to the Q&As that are coming through. You and I both know, as industry lovers of hospitality, there's often a misconception that hospitality is just something that you do during non-related studies, and it's just a thoroughfare for people who aren't even interested in it, and they kind of come and go. Can you share with us why you believe hospitality is more than this, and there's some like little aspects of why it is such a rewarding career? I know you touched on it briefly at the beginning. Could you have anything to share on that?
Yeah, certainly. I strongly believe that the industry is there for you to do whatever your passion, to follow your passion, right? And especially to look at how technology has disrupted the industry. Quite frankly, all those apps and platforms and OTAs and things like that, this is fairly recent. I mean, this is really only in the last couple of decades or even more recent than that. So and I guess traditionally that would have been seen as another industry, but it is part of hospitality and the broader tourism juncture. So I think careers are really what you make of them, right? And I'm a perfect example of someone who's in a way a little bit fallen into what I do, because while I've always had a passion for the industry, I guess I discovered fairly early on that while I liked operations, I really loved research and I really loved finance, and that led me really straight to my first role as a hotel consultant, and then after that, stepping stone into corporate life in first at Starwood and then now with IHG. So it is really whatever you want to make of it, and I think linking to that is the first of continuous learning, right? Because you'll start something, you continuously learn, and you're like, actually, I would like to explore this, I would like to explore that. So, while some people may just dip in and out, and that's fine, I certainly think that there is very rewarding careers that can be had in the industry, and yes, take the first step, right? I mean, what you have to do is.
Yeah, exactly right. Thank you, Sophie. That was absolutely fantastic. I had no doubt that it wouldn't be, because you're just so good, and you're so good at what you do as well, and so passionate. Let's shift the focus to our attendees see if there's some questions that have come through from our audience, which there have been, which again, I'm not surprised. So one of the questions is, what do you look for in a future employee? And do hotel school graduates in general, because I know you've studied at 2 hotel schools, do hotel school graduates stand out against the others?
Yes. So, and I've learned that first tip that tip from my very first manager post-graduation. And actually, the more I hire, the more I agree with him. And what I look for, and you're going to laugh at this, is actually sparkle in the eyes. And what I mean by this is actually genuine curiosity, right? And thirst for learning and willingness to give it a try. And that's the reason why each and every time, I speak to someone to join my team, whether it's an intern or someone, with more experience, I kind of want to see that instant reaction when I ask them, why this job, why this industry, and everyone will have a first. I want to see that kind of that smile breaks into them, that, oh yeah, that would be so good if I had this job, I really want to do that. So I strongly believe in hiring for attitude, and so long as you're willing, then we can very much build on the foundations. But if you don't have the right attitude, it's kind of it's hard slog from there. And I think that when you've made a decision to really leave your family, your friends, uproot yourself, get away from your usual routine and become part, of the amazing community that hotel school, in general, bring along, but especially, the Blue Mountains, right? I mean, because you are there in the mountains, you really create strong network. It really tells me that some of those traits that I've been looking for, they are innate, right? You have them in you, and so that will definitely make you stand out.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, and also thank you throughout this whole session for your candidness. It is something that Gareth and myself and our success coaches really do instill in our students, is being open and honest, but also remaining professional. So thank you very much. Another really good question that has come through, and particularly about your role, Sophie. So as a strategist and a future planner, which is sums up, in 2 words or 3 words, your role.
Thank you. No, I can, fabulous. I'll trademark that. Thanks.
Yep, I'll let the person know that you've essentially just summed up her title in a sentence. So, strategist and future planner, Sophie, what is something that you are most excited about within IHG? What should we be looking forward to? What's some exciting things on the horizon?
Oh, what's something? Well, something very exciting actually happened. About 6 weeks ago now. Where we launched, the 17th brand, right? So the 17th baby in the IHG portfolio, Vignette collection, which is actually the very first collection brand that IHG brought into the world. So that certainly has made life very, very exciting. And obviously, now that sort of the secret is out, and then we have, everyone kind of very excited about it, is to make sure that we embed the brand, and we have the ambition to go to 100 hotels over the next 10 years. Our teams are like a bit of friendly competition. So there's kind of a nice jostling around about whether we can bring that goal forward. Yeah, you never know. But certainly, that really speaks to IHG's belief in the future. Right? We wouldn't be doing that if we didn't believe that the industry was there for the long time. But bearing in mind, we're also mindful and cognizant of market trends. Guests traveling want something different. They want something more experiential. They want to feel safe, and they want to pepper themselves a little bit. Right? There's going to be a lot of revenge travel that's like, well, maybe in the past I would have done it in a certain way, but this time around I want maybe to up the ante a little bit, and that brand certainly fits the picture very much so. So I think it's all about always looking at what does the market tell us, what do the owners want, and bring to fore. So whether it's our brand portfolio expanding, whether it's our journey to tomorrow, I certainly think that the future is bright, and we are definitely here to reap the benefits. So and I guess underpinning all of this is the human capital, right? Because we can't do this on our own. we absolutely cannot do this on our own. So we need people to join the industry, and we, it's our responsibility to really give them a sense of purpose, and give them a sense of security as well. And yeah, so we're all, gearing for it.
Thank you so much. And for those of you that are in Australia, so Hotel X in Brisbane is part of Australia's first Vignette collection.
Yes.
Very exciting that brand is now part of that. And I wish we had, I think we might have time for one more question before we wrap up. And there's lots of sense of optimism that's really coming through with our participants. Just 2 specific skills that you think will be needed in the hotel industry in the immediate future, Sophie? Just 2 that you can think of.
2 that I can think of. One, I guess, is build your network. I mean, the friends that you make today are going to be your peers and your colleagues tomorrow, right? So do make the most of all the opportunities that you have, and especially those industry placements. I mean, they are absolutely critical. I mean, things that I've learned during my industry placements are still very much to the fore today. Right? I was lucky enough to be at the 4 Seasons in Sydney and learn about, Isidore Sharp's, golden rule. And this is not just a work, rule. This is a life experience. Make sure that before you say no, you think about all the options to be able to try and say yes, right? So long as it's legal, of course. But trying to be solutions oriented and future focused is really important. So yeah, build your network. Make the most of opportunities, and I think I touched upon it a little bit earlier, but always learn new skills. Never think you've arrived. Never think that you know it all. Surround yourselves with people, from interns all the way to managing directors, anyone in between. I know I've experienced firsthand the benefit of reverse mentorship, where people that may be deemed, in a way, sort of below your grade, actually mentor you, and it is extremely powerful. So be open-minded, and keep learning, keep building.
Wow. Oh gosh, I wish I could ask you all of the questions that we have, but we are out of time. So I really did want to thank you so much, Sophie. You really do give back to the industry, and this is definitely a true example of that. So ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our 2nd Global Perspective Series session. A wonderful insight from you, Sophie. Certainly a lot for us to digest, with so much promise and excitement to come for our incredible industry. Next week, we look forward to seeing you again, where we will be joined by another brilliant Blue Mountains International Hotel Management School alumni, Miss Lena Willoughby. She's the Cluster Talent Acquisition and L&D Manager. How's that for a mouthful? For Marriott UAE. Please don't forget to register, and I believe our link may be in the chat box provided. And please register for the next session and the ones to follow. Thank you again, and have a lovely rest of the week ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yes, to all the students listening, thank you very much for your time, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for each and every one of you. Thanks, Vanessa, and take care.
Merci beaucoup. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.